You want to have the clarity that you need as the owner and as the CEO for where the ship is headed. A lot of times teams get messed up because they don't know. They don't know what's in the owner's head. Then what are the top three goals that need to be connected to that for the week? And then what are the top three goals that need to be connected to that for the day? That's a lot.
Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. This is your one-stop shop to learn the business side of your practice on a deeper level. On this show, we empower you to own your CEO status to scale your practice for growth, sustainability, and profit. Listen in as we talk about how to market your practice to gain more visibility, hire, build, and engage your ride or die dream team, create streamlined operations, and make financial decisions as a CEO. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love. Let's get started.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of CEO Conversations. I'm excited for you to be here. I am Brandy Mabra. So welcome. Today we are talking about hosting a team retreat. So part of what we're doing is getting you ready for 2025. And so this episode is for you if you have a team you've hired in your practice, you have providers, you have admin, you are in a place where you need your team's perspective going into 2025. So that way your goals are aligned. Now, you can take this and actually host your own individual team retreat. I highly suggest it. You want to have the clarity that you need as the owner and as the CEO for where the ship is headed. When you involve your team in retreats, now you're allowing for yourself to paint the picture. This is where we're going. This is what we're going to be working on in 2025. This is the goals that we need to hit. These are the key initiatives that we want to make sure that we're working on. And it allows for the team to have that engagement and to feel part of the process as you are going into 2025. But there's some prep work too. If you listen to this episode, there's going to be a lot of great information that's with you. And then also there is a tool that is going to be available for you. But I'm going to talk to the 7 steps that you need in order to host your team retreat and the reasons why and to kind of go through things. But if you want more information, then definitely use the guide that's with this episode. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to get clarity, right? And so part of this is to stepping into the vision for how do you want to show up. When you're by yourself and you're doing this, it makes perfect sense as the owner because you can sit there, you can close your eyes, you can put yourself in a beautiful space. If you're working with your team, I still suggest for you to put yourself in a beautiful space. So if you can take them off site or if you can put them in a different, or if you're in the practice, definitely setting it up where you can workshop and write ideas down and making sure that you're engaging your team. I think that's always helpful. I've done team retreats in the past where I've rented out hotel spaces, very similar to what I do now for our clients, but where I've rented out hotel spaces and brought in special speakers to be part of team retreats. But ultimately, the goal is for you, especially when you're doing it with your team, is to build up team camaraderie, to increase your chemistry, to make sure that they have buy-in going into the new year and that they have full clarity and full transparency of what's the goal, right? A lot of times teams get messed up because they don't know. They don't know what's in the owner's head. They don't know where the ship is going. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing, right? And they can become very disgruntled from that. Those are the businesses and the practices that are very chaotic. That team turnover is a thing, because it's just, or people are just coming to work for a paycheck. There's no bigger buy-in. And it's usually because there's something missing either with the team that's been hired, the team needs to be changed over, or it's because there's so much lack of clarity where the owner is just showing up like they're an employee of the practice. They're not leading the team anywhere. So a retreat is a really great opportunity for you to lead and for you to definitely step up and empower your team and be a partner with them for where you're going. So that's the number one reason to do it. So step 1 would be definitely step into the vision. When you're doing this with your team, you can have them sit there, close their eyes. What kind of team member do they want to be, right? Because if you ask them what were some of the things that they were impacted by 2024, if they've gone through evaluations or reviews, are they happy with how they showed up as a team member in 2024? Do they have any goals and aspirations for what they want to work on going into 2025? Same thing for you, so you can incorporate that for them. Like, what kind of team member do they want to show up? What are they hoping to get from the practice? What are they hoping to get from you as the owner? And you can take some time to visualize that so they can step into the vision. So that's step one after doing like the pre-work and all the things. Like I said, there's a guide. So make sure you use the guide. So that's step one. Step two is then to do a review. So it's hard to know where to go when you don't review. So you want to make sure that you're looking at what happened in 2024 in this instance, and you're going to look at things from 6 pillars, right? So you're going to look at what was the marketing like. This is a really great conversation, especially if you're trying to get your providers involved in marketing or you need some help on the marketing side because you as the owner can't do all the things. And so like, how did the marketing go? Were the schedules filled? How did things go financially? You don't necessarily have to divulge like all the financial details, but you can talk to some of the metrics that are tied to the financials. So whether if it's visits numbers or maybe if it's something on the billing side or maybe it's the amount of patients that you saw for the year, or if it's like we hit like all of the claims that were supposed to be submitted, like all of those things are tied to financials. So how did things go financially? The third is operationally. How are things running? Right. So if things felt very chaotic, if there were bottlenecks that needed to be ironed out, if there were policy procedures that needed to be written and they weren't written, or if things just felt very non-efficient and not effective inside of your practice, that's something that you want to review. So how are things going for practice experience? Were there any complaints? Were patients taken care of? Was there anything that you can do to improve things or is there anything that you can do to improve things with the experience? Do people like coming there? Did you get good reviews? Did your Google reviews go up? Like all of those things you can pay attention to when it comes to the practice experience. When it comes to team, how is the team? How is the communication? How is the chemistry? How is the business culture? Are they happy? Was there any challenges that happened in 2024 that the team was able to overcome? All of those are great review like opportunities for the year. And when we're thinking about the review, that would be a collective 2024 review. Once you've done your review, now you want to step into what are we going to do for 2025? So this is step 3, where now you're deciding like what goals. You as the owner should have an idea of the key initiatives that you want to work on going into 2025. You don't have to have 20. I'm not going to say that. If you have 20 some goals, you're probably not going to hit them. But I would say get down to at least the top 3 or 5 goals that you want to achieve for the year. How's the team going to be able to impact them? So as you're talking through them, then you're going to decide what part does each team member have as part of these goals. So for example, if there's like a new service line that's one of the initiatives that you want to go into 2025, how would the current providers or the current team impact that new service line that you would want to implement? If there's a new marketing campaign that you want to do, or if there's a new community event activity that you want to do, how is the team going to impact those community events? So we have clients who want to do more volunteering going into 2025. How is the team going to impact that, right? And so when you're talking about those goals, then and those key initiatives, you're literally walking through the team like, how are we going to achieve this? Like, what needs to happen on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, and even a quarterly basis in order to help achieve these goals? This is where you would do SMART goals. So this is where it needs to be specific and measurable and attainable, and where you're, like time bound, like all of the things. And so in the guide, it'll walk you through exactly how to do that. But you want the goals to be SMART goals. So that way the team can say like, oh, we did achieve it. This is what we need to do to achieve it. From the goals, you're now going to have them step into what are the daily activities, right? And so this is where the retreat can definitely be done during that time together. Or you might need to take things offline or take things outside of the retreat where now people have their individual projects that they have to work on or individual activities that they have to work on. And so the point of this is for you to get to a place of what are the top 3 goals that need to happen for the month. So if you have your top 3 to 5 for the year, how is that going to be impacted for the quarter? So what are the top 3 goals that are connected to that need to be achieved for the quarter? From the quarter, what are the top 3 goals that need to be connected to that for the month? Then what are the top 3 goals that need to be connected to that for the week? And then what are the top 3 goals that need to be connected to that for the day? That's a lot, And so when we're thinking about teams and different skill sets and things, you could always maybe even do like a breakout group with certain, like, so your providers could work together if you have a big enough team, or your admin teams could work together, or your providers and admin teams. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to have fun. The whole point of this is for you to get a good understanding of what are the goals, where are we going, what are we doing, and what needs to happen on a day-to-day basis to get the job done. So by the end of the retreat, then it should be where you have a good understanding of the roadmap or the plan that you want to implement within the practice. And also, you can always insert like some fun activities. And so, with the teams that I've had, we've done things at, like, we have like a here in Charlotte, it's like the Whitewater Center. And so, we've done like obstacle courses, or I've brought in massage therapists for chair massages. We've done like wellness activities. Again, a lot of the things that we do at the current retreats that I host. You can do that for your teams too. And so just have fun, enjoy the connection. But it's important for you to do things like this, especially as you're stepping into a higher level of leadership and really involving the team. A lot of times owners don't do this because they don't feel like they have the time. But it's a big, like, you're missing a huge opportunity when you don't do these things. And honestly, it's going to save you so much time going into the new year, because an hour of doing saves 10 hour, or an hour of planning saves 10 hours of doing. So when you take the time to actually plan a retreat, then, and you involve your team in that, it's time well paid. If there's payroll that you're concerned about, the return on investment will be so good. And it changes your business culture, enhances your business culture, which the return on investment, whenever you have a great business culture, there's statistics and things that can definitely back me up from that. So, just have fun with it. But there is a guide that is there waiting for you. So there is 7 steps that you'll want to follow. There's certain prep work that you're going to want to need to do. If you're going to do this, especially before the end of 2025, you need to go ahead, pick out your dates, so that way you can communicate it with your team, pick out your location, where you're going to have it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. So even if it is like just at the office, you can still have it at the office. You could always use a co-working space. You could use a hotel boardroom if you wanted to do that. You could rent out a private dining area of a restaurant. I'm thinking even like simple places like Panera, where they have like the little, off the dining room. So don't think too much into it, because I promise you, your team will appreciate it. And even if you don't follow the 7 steps exactly, your team is still going to appreciate it, because you're actually taking the time to pour into them, and you're actually taking the time to get their perspective. One of the things I do want to say is, because I know some teams are more quiet. So even if you have a quiet team, prepare them for the retreat. Let them know exactly what's going to happen, how they need to show up prepared. So if there's certain questions that they need to answer, if there's pre-work that needs to be done, making sure that all of that is completed before you even jump into these situations. So that way it's not like crickets, and you've planned out, rented out the space and gotten all prepared, and, have the flip charts and the markers and the calendar, and your team is like crickets and it's silent. So just making sure that you're setting yourself up for success and being proactive and intentional about how you want your team to show up, what you need to do to show up to be prepared, but have fun. Have fun. So that is one of the things I'm going to recommend for you for 2025, is to set up, if you have a big enough team. So again, if you have multiple providers, multiple admin teams, doing a retreat is a really great opportunity for you to make sure that everybody is starting off the year great. So have fun. Make sure you grab the guide too.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.